Welcome to the Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks, and I am your humble host, S01, and we are going to get into this article here. And again, like always, you're rocking with us at Road to the Snyder Cut, where we talk all things Snyder Cut on the road to March 18th, and we should be dropping something, at least one a day. Look into the archives and learn a little bit more about the Snyder Cut and a lot of things that you did not know, the real shit, the fake shit, and we talk politely about the environment around it, but most importantly, we try to give you as much information and my personal commentary on the matter. And right now, we're going to go into this article from movieweb.com. Martian Manhunter actor Harry Lennix addresses Joss Whedon's Justice League allegations. Justice League actor Harry Lennix speaks out on Joss Whedon's allegations made by Ray Fisher and investigated by Warner Brothers. The production of 2017's Justice League has been under a cloud for years now. Last year, things became even more heated after Ray Fisher, who plays Cyborg in the movie, came forward with allegations of abuse against Joss Whedon, who directed the feature after Zack Snyder had to step down. With Zack Snyder's Justice League, interest in the story refuses to die down. Now, a number of Whedon's former associates have come forward to share their own stories of abuse at his hands. Harry Lennix, who plays the role of General Swanwick, is in the upcoming Snyder Cut of Justice League, and who has worked with Whedon in the past, weighs in on the controversy with Whedon in the past, weighed in on the controversy in a recent interview. I wasn't there during the time in question. I am sorry that anybody had to experience what it was that was described. Obviously, there's one side of the story that we've heard. I don't know that Josh has made any comments. As you point out, I worked with Josh fairly closely for a couple of years there. I didn't see that behavior, and at the same time, as an actor, my heart goes out to anybody that had to endure that kind of treatment. We get treated as second-class citizens frequently, but I did not see it. And I would be curious as to what Josh's response to this has been. Very politically correct, very astute gentleman how he just worded it and put that out there. Among the accusations facing Joss Whedon is the charge that he forced Charisma Carpenter off Buffy the Vampire Slayer after she got pregnant, that he boasted about making female writers cry on the sets of Firefly, that he was not allowed to be alone with Michelle Trachtenberg on the set of Buffy, and was openly disparaging towards Zack Snyder's work on Justice League. Okay. Whedon's many fan bases from the various shows and movies he has created over the years has been in turmoil ever since the news of his behavior was confirmed by Carpenter, Trachtenberg, and Sarah Michelle Gellar, amongst many others. Okay. Whedon has already been forced off the upcoming show The Nevers after Warner Media conducted an investigation into his on-set behavior after Ray Fisher's prompting. As far as Lennix is concerned, he stated his hope that after Ray Fisher's prompting, as far as Lennix is concerned, he stated his hope that the entire affair would end with grace and forgiveness. I just hope everybody can move on with their lives, to be honest with you. As a former seminarian, and as somebody who has made mistakes, I've been on either side of that equation. Directors sometimes are insensitive to the needs or feelings of the actors, and sometimes actors are needy, and sometimes they are oversensitive. I know I can be. So that said, I hope whatever it was that happened, that people could move on, and outside of some forgivable thing, that people can forgive just each other, not just each other, but forgive themselves. Zack Snyder's Justice League stars Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Henry Cavill as Superman, Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, Ezra Miller as The Flash, Ray Fisher as Cyborg, Jeremy Irons as Alfred Pennyworth, Diane Lane as Martha Kent, Ray Porter as Darkseid, Clarion Hines as Steppenwolf, and Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, and J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. Film arrives on HBO Max March 18th. This news comes from Variety. And a very well put together article, especially well spoken by, I keep forgetting his name, Lennix. And one thing I thought was interesting, I did want to just go back to, was, and it was a different time, but they're saying that among accusations facing Josh Whedon is a charge that he forced Charisma Carpenter off Buffy the Vampire Slayer after she got pregnant. I think I remember reading that somewhere. That he boasted about making female writers cry on the sets of Firefly. Now, I don't know how you boast, because you can't really win. You never really got 1 points even back in the day for that. I know you got probably hide it more, and more people will probably easier to let it go as just like retarded joke or silly banter, or however they would want to put it together as. But needless to say, that just sounds a little off-putting, like you would just do that. That he was not allowed to be alone with Michelle Trachtenberg on the sets of Buffy, and was openly disparaging towards Zack Snyder's work on Justice League. Now I need to look up this person's name, Michelle Trachtenberg. That's the young girl that came on later that was supposed to be like popped up as Buffy's sister, but turned out to be something else, which was Buffy Vampire Slayer was actually a pretty damn good show. I'm not even gonna lie. I watched a lot of that. I didn't see like the later episodes when they moved it to another station and whatnot. I think it was like on UPN 9 or some shit. But in any event, this is very interesting. It puts a lot more light onto what Ray Fisher was talking about. I'm not so quick to use the word abuse because it's used so easily. It's hard for me to really find a space in which I could credit it with what I think is abuse, if that makes sense. That said, though, I mean, no one wants to go through this shit. No one wants to be treated no kind of way. I like how Lennix spoke that he was on both sides as an actor, so he knows how to give it and get it, you know. And he seems like he feels like this is more par for the course, but he's really walking that fine line, and he kept it real. I've never seen that. I worked with him closely for a lot of years, and I personally did not see any kind of bad behavior. So with that being said, it shows you how to be very professional and know how to handle a certain kind of conversation like this, especially if you really don't have anything to do with it, nor do you actually know anything about it, because he said he's actually worked with them and never saw anything like that on the set, so he wouldn't be able to know. You know what I'm saying? But there's other people that are corroborating his actions on other sets, on sets of other shows, and on the set of Justice League, the reshoots. I was just thinking about it right now. There was even a conversation where Gal Gadot talked about how she felt uncomfortable about the scene where the Flash had to lay on top of her, and they had to use a body double just to do it. And I thought that was very telling, a little extra, but the scene was kind of like slapsticky joke. It didn't belong in what Zach built, let's put it that way, that type of banter. It was kind of out of place, but by the time you got to it and you understood where the direction that they were taking it, it wasn't really a shock at that point, because even the opening scene on the roof was a little goofy. And I think there's another article that we'll be reading later on where they even talked about that. One of the execs in the background that wanted to remain anonymous, from what I understand, actually made a conversation about how Josh Whedon had put the Batman opening scene was kind of goofy for them that he had shot. So that lets you know that a lot of people are starting to want to start talking about the experience with working with Josh Whedon and how he acted on set. And if I'm not mistaken, Jason Momoa has also come to the aid of Ray Fisher. So the question really is now is, Well, we already know that Josh Whedon, we won't be seeing his name attached to anything for quite some time. His name has garnered and carried a blemish that we don't know if it will ever come off. But at the same time, even with them using the word abuse, and they're still leaving way too much to the imagination. So there's a reason why Warner Brothers might want to just do this and discard this situation from in the background. I think Warner Brothers was well aware of everything that was going on. That's the reason why they did the purge of everybody at Warner Brothers. And they got Walter Amada now because of the last guy that headed it. He was going through some legal shit, if I'm not mistaken. So they upped Walter Amada to it. And I understand it. Yeah, you brought me here to redirect this whole ship. I got a brand new plan. And then the Snyder cut is... and the Snyder universe is still looming over you while you're trying to do a perfect heel and toe and make this your direction. And I think a lot of egos might have gotten involved during the era of Jeff Johns, during the changing of the guard, and he wanted to elevate himself up. This is what I speculate, because I judge human beings as human beings. We're all going to look for ways in which we can assert and garner some sort of power, make a power move and a power play. And a lot of people don't wait for the opportunity. They create reasons for the opportunity to happen. And there's some people, when the opportunity happens, they'll just add their part to it just to make sure it works in their favor. And look, no one knows. I'm not there. You weren't there. None of us were there. You know, these are just all allegations charged at Josh Whedon, and there's a lot to go off on it. I mean, let's just be fair. This just doesn't come out the blue. You know what I mean? So there must be something attached to it. Are people adding more seasoning to the sauce? I wouldn't be surprised, because a lot of people like to over season it more than they need to, and I don't think you need to do that if you got good evidence. And it felt like they got at least enough that they dropped him. They found evidence. Evidently other people were talking about it from behind the scenes. So even me reading this article just leaves me with this one pondering question. Ray, what more did you want them to do? I don't know. But I like what Harry Lennix is saying. He just wants us to move on and not taint the movies coming out. We got to cast a good light over this film. We want this to be a success. If you're a Snyder Cut fan, believe me, you will want this to be a success. If anybody else, if you're a fan of anything, you would want this to succeed. So I just don't see why you would want to add too much around the launch of this. And I get it. This is the perfect time to put it out there so you can get back at Whedon. But is this more about a personal get back than addressing the issue? Because I just understand that he brought in Walter Amada. If I'm not mistaken, Walter Amada was nowhere near any of this. So why would you expect Walter Amada to involve himself any further? So there must be other things going on in the background that I'm not well aware of is going on. But definitely from within this article, I just like how Harry Lennix handled it. But if you guys are not aware of it, look on my channel. We discuss it. We will be discussing it a little bit more in depth. But the point I'm just trying to make is, when Josh Whedon took over from Zack Snyder to do the pickups and, like, you know, rewrite some scenes and whatnot, so it seemed like that was the extent of his involvement. He decided to do a lot of different things in a short span of time. And to me, when I heard how he was acting on the set, I looked at it as, because they did not, remember, Pete, we got to put this all in context now. They did not change when Zack Snyder was removed or left, however you want to look at it, because we'll talk about that down the line. There was a gap. I mean, there was like I think it was early in the year that released. I think it was 8 months. So that means that Josh Whedon came within a year after already put together film. Was supposed to not just pick up reshoots, but rewrite damn near everything. And and reshoot it, retool the whole entire film, especially while your main actor went off to go be in another movie, so he has a mustache. So now you gotta invest more money to get the mustache CG'd out, do all these types of workarounds in a very short span of time to give everything that the fans wanted, from levity that everybody was wanting, more color, etc., without making it look too disjointed, without making it look like this movie was done by two different actors on two different directors on two different pages. But unfortunately, that's what happened. But if you think about putting in context now, in that short amount of time, you might be more irate. You had to do the redesigns of characters that looked completely different. You might have had to do more pickup shots. After what you already shot, you had to merge scenes together, edit certain stuff out of shots so you can put something else in, just so you could weave together a story in some sort of Frankenstein hosh-posh and put together something cohesive and coherent enough for the audience member to not only understand but be entertained by and want to come back again to revisit this world. I can only imagine how difficult that could have been, how frustrating and how hard it would have been to work with a guy like that, working underneath that small of a window. And not add on what if he was personally motivated by other things that he wanted to get done with Jeff Johns, or whatever dealings that they might have had between each other, because at the time Jeff Johns had held and carried a lot of clout, and from what I understand, he had a lot to do with wanting to be with the changing of the guard and wanting to wipe out whatever Zack Snyder did to bring in his own type of projects. And from what I understand, there's also something even more to it, which makes even better sense. It wasn't just to be malicious per se. I always thought it was just maybe to make his name because they wanted to be the Kevin Feige over there, and that's a good way to level up. But also, if you're utilizing your own personal stories that you wrote as a comic book writer, imagine how much money you're making on the back end as well. It just makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's circumstantial, but make no mistake, it lends itself to an even better picture as to why we got what we got out of that film. With that being said, man, let me know what you guys think down below, how you felt about Harry Lennix's approach to the conversation at hand, how delicate an issue and sensitive an issue it is, especially during these days and age, but also how he was able to see it from both sides of view, both perspectives. And also let me know what you thought about my personal perspective. I'm still again not clear exactly what they meant by abuse. I'm assuming it's more verbal. He didn't really put his hands on anyone, which doesn't make it any better. But now it makes a better picture of what might have went on. But it's still unclear as it pertains specifically to Ray Fisher that it got this kind of, you know what I mean, odd in the fact that Walter Amada somehow is dragged in. So like I said, it's an unfortunate mess around a very positive project that I think everybody should want to work out in favor of everyone, because if this works, it gives life to DC, and also even for Walter Amada, even though it may no longer be underneath his division per se, because it'll be more of a HBO Max world's view. Let's say your continuity just isn't cutting the mustard exactly the way you want it. You could start borrowing from the Snyder. Like I said, this opens up a wealth of possibilities that unlike we've ever seen for DC. And the thing that you guys should be doing your best on is trying to find very, very, very creative ways to do it. And I think it's a creative way with the announcing of Michael Keaton. Now that we got the announcement of the new Supergirl, which we will be talking about later, which just the choice in and of itself, I don't know where they're going with it, but they're really lending into this different types of dimensions. That's what it seems like they're really committing to. So in that kind of way, you could try a lot of different things and have the most diverse art pieces out of DC based on DC characters. And this is coming from a guy that's really a Marvel Comics guy. And if it was the Snyderverse has brought me back to really falling for DC. You know, the last time I fell for DC was when Michael Turner was on doing a lot of projects, and especially when he was doing the Batman Superman with this origin of Supergirl in it. So I don't know, for me, I think that we have a lot of possibilities open. Let's keep the communication open. Let's keep the fan base jumping. Let's keep the fan base positive. Let's keep the trolls to the side. Let's go and talk and all things that we like about the Snyder Cut, all things that we don't know, and things that you want me to talk about here on Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks. So, like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro. Chill.